Hi, Rhode Island, and hello, Internet. We are coming to you live on this exciting day. My name is Jocelyn Foye. I'm the director of the Womxn Project, and we're lucky enough to be joined by Senator Whitehouse and Congressman Cicilline, who are representatives in the Washington, D.C., our federal delegation, part of it. There's so much happening in our state and around the nation as it relates to the issues that we care most about here at the Womxn Project, which is specifically at the moment targeted on abortion rights and activism, that we're thrilled to have the opportunity to speak with both of you today about what is going on, what's next, and how we can work together to truly push for real and lasting change. So Senator Reid was unable to join us in person, but he did provide a video to share with our folks, and we will post that after this conversation on social as well. So we're so grateful to have you both here with us. Thank you so much. You've been incredible champions of Rhode Island, of all folks who are fighting for these causes. And we wanted to hear from both of you what you're hearing and what you're sensing and recommendations for how to people to move and act right now. So I'm going to ask a few questions and I'll give you the space to speak. So first of all, let's start with, what is your take on the situation at this current federal level right now? Partisan divisiveness, failure to pass the WIPA in spite of the champions like yourselves in the voting rights. It's a little bit of a lot.
Sheldon, I think you're on mute.
I was going to let you go first, David, but I'm happy to jump in. We're in a situation that is doubly frustrating to me because I've been predicting it for a long time. And that is that we have allowed Republican special interests to erect over decades very important structural advantages for themselves. And now we're seeing payday for them from all of this effort. And one of the structural advantages that they built for themselves was basically capturing the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And we still have Democrats saying that this is a conservative Supreme Court. It is not a conservative Supreme Court, not by any meaningful definition of the word conservative. It is a captured Supreme Court that will do whatever is necessary, including very non-conservative stuff, to make sure that the big Republican donor interests get served by the court, and particularly do the things that the big Republican donors want that the American public hates. You know, they were going to get no place trying to repeal Roe v. Wade in Congress. So what they did was they packed the court, they went over, they teed up the right case, they sent in the front groups with all the right messages, and the next thing you know, we've got this Alito draft floating around. And I think the really important thing, my important message is, we cannot have episodic bouts of anger and fury. We have got to be as persistent as they are and tear down and degrade the apparatus that they've built to get these wins for themselves. Episodic emoting won't do the trick. We've got to think as coldly and craftily as they do, and undo what they have done and expose what they have done.
Yeah, I mean, I would only add a few things. I mean, I think Sheldon is absolutely right, and he has been writing about and warning about the capture of the Supreme Court for a very long time. And I think there is no question that what the Republicans, and I don't think it's a conservative court, it's a radical court, and their intention is to impose a set of really draconian policies and make real changes and roll back basic freedoms that the American people have enjoyed for generations, things they could never achieve in the political context. And so they've packed the court as a way to circumvent that. There was a great piece in the New York Times recently about the Supreme Court now being a tool of oppression, because they're really using it now to achieve things that they could never achieve in the political context. So this is a real problem, and Senator Whitehouse is right. We have to recognize that and address it. In the short term, though, we should also understand this particular effort is about the Republicans' quest for a national ban on abortion, a federal ban that will cover every state. So people who live in states like Rhode Island who think, well, we're okay, we have a state statute protecting us. Mitch McConnell said it out loud already. The goal here is a ban nationally on abortion, period, full stop. That includes no exceptions for rape or incest. It includes a complete ban. It's an effort, obviously, that is terrifying, that will essentially attempt to, and in fact will, control women's most fundamental healthcare decisions that they ought to be making on their own, and having the government, particularly a group of typically older white men that seem to be in these debates. And this is really, they're going to criminalize healthcare. They're going to have provisions that really hunt down healthcare providers, provide bounties for people who turn people in who have tried to access abortion, and really could criminalize situations in which women miscarry or even have IVF treatment. So this is really radical stuff. And there is one sort of short-term solution to this that I would just encourage people to look. We passed in the House, incorporating Roe versus Wade in statute, as the state legislature did in Rhode Island. We need to elect more Democrats in the Senate to get that passed and get it to President Biden's desk. Like, there's a solution here within our reach. We just need, one or two more Democratic senators so they can construct a rule that allows them to take that up without 60 votes. That's achievable. But I know people are dispirited and angry and scared, but this is a moment really for action. And so we just have to make sure that we're electing people who share our views on this and other issues, and get them into places where they can, those values can be reflected in their work. And this is achievable. Like, this is actually what we can do to preserve a woman's right to make healthcare decisions and to have access to affordable and accessible abortion services in this country. So this is, I think, the other thing I would just mention is, the other thing I think is very alarming about this decision is Justice Alito, or this draft opinion, quotes heavily from some lord that Sheldon will remember the name of him, but it's a lord who essentially described women as property of their husbands. I mean, it is the idea that he's evoking this British lord as a basis for rolling back what we've all accepted is this right to privacy, which is basically our right
to punish witches.
Punished
women as witches.
Crazy.
That's his source.
And it makes it very alarming to think how they will look at other important freedoms that come from our right to self-determination and personal autonomy, whether it's marriage equality, whether it's contraception. So this is an alarming development. It should be a call to action to everyone to make sure that we take the court back, and also make sure that we grow our majorities in both the House and the Senate so we can put this in statute once and for all.
Thank you for that. And yes, I mean, people are feeling the weight of all of this. And we here at the Womxn Project hear from folks like, what can we do? How do we do it? Like, what is the path that we can support? And I will use this opportunity to say, in Rhode Island, we need to fight for this Equality in Abortion Coverage Act, which is the hearing today. But also we need to support the Women's Health and Education Fund, which is the Rhode Island Abortion Fund. And while folks are like, oh, folks aren't going to come to Rhode Island for abortion help, they're going to be going all over the place. And there's not a path necessarily of how that's going to happen. But I'd ask both of you, speaking more to the general public, a lot of the activists are tired already. COVID has burnt out folks. We've seen an incredible amount of people take a lot of risks in going out and feeling like they're getting back into the swing of things, being out at rallies or going to the state house or speaking out. And so I would ask both of you if there's anything you wanted to say to folks, to just like the encouragement of, they need to be on top of getting involved in state elections outside of our own, of course, inside of our state as well, and making the changes that need to happen too. But what else would you suggest?
Well, when I first got to the Senate, I fell in love with Barbara Mikulski. I just admired the hell out of her. She was an absolute firefighter. I mean, she was just full on. And she used to have a saying, which is, don't agonize, organize. And whether people are joining the Womxn Project, and using that as the vehicle to organize, or whether they're supporting nationally Planned Parenthood, or whether they're involved in Democratic politics, there are a lot of very COVID-safe ways to participate through organizations and make sure your voice is heard. And particularly in national organizations, which are going to take your voice here in Rhode Island and make sure it's heard in New Hampshire, in Arizona, in Nevada, in key states where we can, you know, take advantage of close purple states to win more seats in the Senate. And just to follow on David's point, we don't need to get to 60 votes in the Senate to do a lot of this stuff. If it's really important, we need to get to maybe 53 votes so that we have a sufficient majority to find a way around Mitch McConnell's abuse of the filibuster. And there are plenty of ways to do that if we have 50 votes to do it and Vice President Harris to break the tie. So you don't have to get to 60. It's not improbable that we could do this in this election. We have really important races coming up in Ohio and Pennsylvania where we can take back seats from the Republicans and add to our majority if we can defend our incumbents. So there's a very real chance that in, you know, 7 or 8 months, you're looking at a Senate that has the prospect to make good on all of the good work that David and Nancy Pelosi in the House are doing.
Yeah, and I think what you raised, Jocelyn, is a real issue. I mean, this has been a hard couple of years for folks, and people have gone through, you know, loss and a lot of grieving and a lot of disruption in their lives, you know, devastating impacts on our economy. And it's not hard to understand that people are just exhausted from it all. But the one thing I would say is the people on the other side of these issues, they're not exhausted. The people that are trying to protect big pharma so we continue to pay the highest prices for prescription drugs, they're not tired. The great champions of fossil fuel that are destroying our environment, you know, they're in the fight very vigorously. And I think, you know, the people who are trying to roll back these basic freedoms and, you know, things that we have come to recognize as inherent in our own kind of personal autonomy, whether it's abortion services or healthcare or contraceptives or the right to marry someone you choose to marry, all of that, the people that are on the other side of these issues, they're not tired, and they're well-financed, and they're committed to rolling back the freedoms that we've come to enjoy. And they have corporate special interests funding their efforts in every way, as Senator Whitehouse mentioned. So I know people are exhausted, but like, this is no time to rest. This is a time to get into the fight and make sure that we have a country and a set of leaders in our government that share your values so that we can continue to make progress toward, you know, what, you know, as Martin Luther King used to say, the arc of history bends toward justice. It doesn't bend on its own. It requires all of us to be in the fight. And you add to that list a very real effort to undermine our democracy and make it harder for people to vote. And they're attacking kind of the real institutions of our democracy. So this is unfortunately not a time anyone can sit it out. So if people need a day or two to rest up, that's cool, but like, get right back into the fight because we need you.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate you both coming on. It's a brief moment we got to take with you, but we appreciate it with a reach down. I mean, we have an election year this year. This is an issue people don't want to talk about. We at the Womxn Project want to hold them accountable and say, if they're not talking about it, that speaks volumes. And I think that truly this is an issue, like so many right now due to COVID, that have exposed the financial burdens that we put on so many of the folks who live within these borders. And so we're on a mission to try and break these racist bans and really go after this type of right for all Rhode Islanders. So thank you. We hope that at the federal level that comes forward too. But in the meantime, we are feeling inspired by getting to speak with you. Today, the House Finance is hearing the Equality Abortion Coverage Act, and we encourage anyone who's watching to get involved, write testimony. Your voice is heard. These folks hear from us, as do folks in state, and it's important that we continue to use that voice. So thank you both so much.
Thank you. We're excited to be with you, Jocelyn. We appreciate your leadership. It really is inspiring to us to have people at home who are fighting the fight as effectively as you. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's kind to say. Have a good one, y'all. Take it easy.
Have a good one.
Alrighty, bye-bye.